Nearly 24 hours after Iran announced that Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi will be visiting Islamabad and U.S., subsequently planning to send its delegation in anticipation of possible direct talks, the Iranian delegation has left Pakistan. Iran, which has ruled out direct talks with the United States, says no meeting is planned and that Iran's observations have been conveyed to Pakistan. Earlier, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif hosted Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi at his office in Islamabad. A video posted by the Iranian embassy on social media showed Asim Munir speaking with Araghchi. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister Ishaq Dar posted on social media saying that the meeting with the Iranian delegation lasted around 2 hours. Prior to his visit to Pakistan, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi had already ruled out direct talks with Washington. Instead, Iran said that Pakistan will act only as a go-between, relaying proposals between both sides. On the other hand, a short while ago, the White House said, speaking to Fox, the administration claimed that Iran had reached out requesting an in-person meeting with the United States. It also added that U.S. officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance, who led the first round of discussions, would remain on standby to travel to Pakistan if required. Despite the continued disagreement over the format of the talks, American President Donald Trump earlier said he expects an offer from Iran. Throughout the week, he has offered no clear timeline for ending the war, but what Trump clearly said was Iran will present a proposal to the U.S., although he is not aware of their details. Further, he pointed out that uncertainty around Iran's leadership was complicating negotiations. The first round of peace negotiations that took place on the 11th of April ended without any breakthrough. The discussions failed to provide any fruitful outcome as key differences remained unresolved. Among the specific issues that were set to be discussed were the control over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has said the removal of U.S. naval blockade in Hormuz is necessary to reach an agreement. In the latest, Tehran has issued a warning saying that it would respond if the United States continued its blockade of Iranian ports, describing the move as banditry and piracy. Iran's nuclear enrichment is another contentious issue. Tehran remains defiant on enriching uranium for civilian purposes, but the U.S. has repeatedly accused Iran of racing to develop a nuclear weapon. Another major point of discussion is Iran's demand of possible security guarantees from the United States. Dr. Glenn Diesen is a professor of international relations at the University of Southeastern Norway. He is now joining us live from Oslo, Norway. Diesen, it's good to see you, and thank you very much for your time. Let's talk about something that people are not talking about, and that is J.D. Vance. Why is the United States skeptical of sending Vance this time around? And why does Iran not want Vance in their talks?
Well, I think the Iranians consider Vance to be, too dismissive, and also in the former talks he took also a lot of calls, a lot of calls with Kushner and Witkoff, and I think they didn't care for his very dismissive diplomacy either. That is, they set up these talks. The Iranians flew in, and Vance came in, lectured them, and then packed up and left rather early. So I think the Iranians want to set some more conditions around the talks, which is why they're also becoming a bit harder on the United States in terms of how these negotiations should take place. Because from the Iranian perspective, there's no reason there for trust anymore. That is, the Americans walked away from the nuclear deal unilaterally. Then they had 2 negotiations. Both times they launched surprise attacks during the negotiations. Now they were going to have a ceasefire. They agreed on Iran's 10-point plan as a point of departure for discussion. Then the Americans walked it back immediately and instead imposed a blockade, which is an act of war, when the ceasefire was supposed to include de-escalation, not escalation. So time and time again, the negotiations seem to go nowhere, and it all seems very fraudulent. So so this is probably some of the conditions the Iranians are putting on the United States to try to essentially begin to dictate the terms.
Dr. Desan, what do you think is really happening now? Because the Iranian side, that is the foreign minister of Iran, Abbas Araghchi, was in Pakistan. He spent 2 hours there speaking to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and the Army Chief, Asim Munir, and also the Deputy Prime Minister. He's left Pakistan. We believe he's headed to Oman.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a lot of confusion, and I might be reading it wrong as well. But from where I stand, it seems as if the Iranians would definitely go to Pakistan because the Pakistanis are, organizing this diplomacy. So they don't want to blow off the Pakistanis. They want to talk to the Pakistanis. They want to show goodwill and also that they're prepared to talk. On the other hand, they have to balance this the way they portray themselves to the world, that they're open for talks, but also balance this with the realities, which is that the United States has not been negotiating in good faith. So they don't want to so they want to begin to scale back some of the talks they have with the Americans. It could be that this would be tantamount to indirect talks, though, that the message passed on from the Iranians to the Pakistanis will now be what the Pakistanis will discuss with Witkoff and Kushner. Of course, I'm not sure if the Iranians left some of their more technical people behind, but so far it's very difficult to see what they're going to discuss, because as I said before, what they agreed on was to use the Iranian 10-point plan as a point of departure. But as soon as this ceasefire began, now the Americans are talking about limiting the nuclear program of Iran. It shouldn't have any enrichment. They should limit their conventional weapons. So they have essentially abandoned the platform which they were supposed to take. So I think on some level they're wondering what exactly are they going to talk to the Americans about, because this is not the agenda which they had agreed upon.
Dr. Desan, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.